before we get into chapter 16, so I'm talking all about special occasion speeches, I'm really just going to be focusing on the 4 that you can choose from for this last assignment. There is an assignment that's due tonight, which is the special occasion speech topic. So I want to make sure that there aren't any questions on that. So that is due at 11:59 p.m. tonight. Some people have turned that in early. I've already given you feedback, right? I've had no issues so far, so that's good there. The turnaround time is going to be pretty quick on this. You'll have some sort of feedback before the end of the weekend because your first outline is going to be due on Monday at 11:59 p.m. And I'll talk more about that at the end of class today. But let's go ahead and jump right into chapter 16. So, a couple things we're doing today. I'm going to identify the types of special occasion speeches. I'm going to specifically just be going over the 4 that you have the option to choose for this last unit. Chapter 16 went over several other different types of special occasion speeches, right? But we're just going to go over the main 4 today that you can choose from. And then I'm going to end the class today. We're going to pull that course pack out and we're going to discuss the working outline that's going to be due Monday at 11:59 p.m. Monday is also going to be a workshop day. We're going to be meeting in the library that day. And I'll remind you of that again at the end of the class period, as well as give you an announcement. But I want to go over the details of that before I send you off on the weekend. This is the last time you guys are going to see the objectives slide, right? So these are the skills that you guys are going to be practicing today. You're going to be practicing understanding the relationship amongst yourself, the message, and others. Even though these are special occasion speeches and some of them call for celebrating your own accomplishments, you still have to connect your message to the audience. So we're going to talk about that. You're going to work on organizing and outlining an effective message, so practicing that skill as well, and then analyzing an audience, doing research on your audience and the situation, and then adapting your message to those needs. So let's jump right into it. All right, the first one we're starting with is the speech of introduction. So this is one of the options that you have to choose from for this final speech. A speech of introduction is a short speech that introduces another main speaker to the audience. I feel like this is the hardest one to conceptualize when we would have an introduction speech. So I want you guys to come up with a list of different speaking situations that might call. Oh no! That might call for an introduction speech. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys turn and talk to the people around you. Any instances when you think you might have to have a speech of introduction, I want you to write that down on a list, turn and talk with the people around you, and then we'll come together and share what we have. I'll give you maybe 30 seconds to put this together, so pretty quick. Okay, I'm hearing the talking go down a little bit. I heard some really good ideas that I didn't even think about. So tell me what you guys talked about. What are some situations that might call for a speech of introduction? Nevaeh.
We said like a graduation and like how they have the students
speak sometimes. The wedding, like at weddings, they have people speak for the couple that's being married, and then like talk shows, like introducing like celebrities or something like that.
Yeah, those are all really great examples. Yeah, Braden.
You thought of like if you're presenting an award, you're introducing like the person who's winning it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Marissa.
Concert or an assembly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great. Any other instances? Let's see what other ones I had written down. Have any of you been to like a stand-up show or a comedy show? There's always somebody that goes up to the mic first to introduce the main act, right? You guys hit the late night talk show. I said late night talk show guest as well as the musical guest, right? So you're going to see an introduction speech for both of those. I think you guys hit all the main ones that I had here. Things like I had the Cardinal Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Is anyone a Cardinals fan in here? Baseball? Ooh, got some strong fans in the back. I love that. That's something that I immediately thought of, right? Because that's something that I watch every year. So you definitely, for the inductees, there is somebody who's introducing those inductees before they come up to the podium and talk about, here are my accomplishments that led me up to this situation, right? Okay, good. So we all know what a speech of introduction is or where we might see it. So let's talk about the qualifications or the criteria for a speech of introduction, right? We've got 3 different criteria here. The first one is to prepare the audience. You're going to want to provide a few minutes of introduction for the speaker as appropriate for the occasion, right? So think about the person you're introducing. You want to familiarize the audience with that person. The second thing you're going to want to do is be accurate and up to date. You need to do your research on the person, right? You want to respect the person that is about to come up to the podium or about to accept the award. So you want to make sure that the things you are relaying to the audience are accurate and up to date. And you want to connect with the audience still, right? You want to connect the speaker that's coming up to the audience, right? So help draw connections between the speaker and the audience somehow. You must know both reasonably pretty well to do that, right? You do have an advantage in this case. We should all know each other pretty well in this classroom, so you already know the audience, right? And so you're going to have to do some extensive research on the person you're introducing or the group you're introducing if you want to choose the speech of introduction. Have any of you guys heard of Jiminy Glick before? I'm seeing a lot of no's. I think it's a generational thing. This is something that Jiminy Glick has existed since the early aughts, right? He is a fictional character that has been created by Martin Short, who's this person right here. It's an interviewer who, his thing is he doesn't do research very well before he talks to the person that he's interviewing, right? He's supposed to be a late night talk show host, and he kind of bombs at being a good interviewer, right? This is what you don't want to do in your speeches of introduction. I'm going to show a short clip. He's introducing Bill Hader, who's the person on the left. Are any of you guys familiar with this guy? Okay, one person, I appreciate that. He's a comedian, right? I want you to pay attention how he introduces Bill Hader. It's very short, right? Does he introduce him well enough to where the audience members would know who he is? Does he in any way connect Bill Hader to the audience? And is any of his research accurate or up to date? Okay. So when we're thinking about if Jiminy Glick connected in any way Bill Hader to the audience, I want you guys to think about, did he introduce Bill Hader well enough to the audience, right? And also, was any of his information accurate? Did he do a lot of research on the person? What did you guys think? Would you write down, Lauren?
He didn't even know his last name.
Yeah, right. That is basic 101. We're introducing somebody. We should know their full name, absolutely, and how to pronounce it as well. Braden.
He didn't really introduce like what movies or like what like shows he's done.
Yeah, absolutely. In the beginning, if you had no idea who Bill Hader was, you probably didn't know what he was doing in the industry, whether he was an actor. He did later mention he was in SNL, but that might have been something to mention in the beginning, right? We're kind of lost on who this person was, so we don't even know who this guy is, right? Yeah, Maddie.
He didn't really like give a description of him or like talk about him at all. Kind of just talked about a bunch of other people.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? This is supposed to be about Bill Hader, but he mentioned other people like Lorne Michaels, who is someone he worked with in SNL, right? But most of the focus was on other people. Yeah, Liv.
He's also like talking negative about Bill Hader, like to his face, saying like that he skipped hair and makeup.
Yeah, and that's definitely his shtick, right? But it wasn't in good nature, so that's not something, if it's not funny and they're not going to think it's funny, which of course he did, because this Jiminy Glick character is supposed to be mean, right? But if this was someone who wasn't Jiminy Glick, this would have been really awkward for him, right? Yeah, Akila. Yeah, he had some really distracting behavior. Yeah, absolutely. Sam.
He kept interrupting Bill Hader.
Yep, was not letting him talk in any sort of way. Yeah, absolutely. What about trying to connect Bill to the audience? Do you guys think that he did this at all? I'm seeing some no's. He definitely was really quick-paced to move on from one subject to the other, right? He did ask him a lot of questions or bring up a lot of really basic information about Bill, but he didn't give the audience enough time to connect with any of it, right? Didn't share any stories, anything like that. So it was really hard to connect with him in any sort of way. So this is what not to do, right? I know some of this was part of an interview, but still we can see his introduction was very minimal. We had no idea who Bill Hader was going into the interview, right? The interview was inappropriate as well because he didn't allow Bill Hader to talk about himself. Also didn't do basic information or basic research on the guy, right? Did you notice that he mentioned something about him coming from Diddy's pool house? And he said, no, that's not true, right? So applying or relaying some false information in front of Bill to the audience and setting him up in a way that doesn't make him look good, that's not appropriate either, right? Okay, awesome. So let's move on to the next type of speech that you can do.